Good evening, and I welcome you to another evening on Supreme Leverage. My name is Olubukola Adewi, and I'm the CEO of Supreme Education Foundation Schools. It's always an exciting evening with you, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board with us. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I would advise that you do so because you have missed a lot. It will be advisable to go back on YouTube or Facebook to catch up on every lost episode. It's been fantastic. It's been phenomenal. We've learned so much. So, like we do every week, this is another week, another Friday, and it's 5 p.m. And like we do every time, we always have the best. And we have a doctor in the house with us this evening, and we're going to be discussing how are you? And it's really a topic for the season, for this time, because there is so much going on with our lives that I think we've been quite careless about. And it's time to really unpack this very much. And we always have the best with us. So we would be having the doctor with us. But then, as usual, before we dive in, we always have the news with our ever darling Oluwakemi Adesoya. Kemi, always lovely to have you every evening, and we can't wait to hear the news. So over to you, Mrs. Adesoya, for the news.
Good evening, and thank you, Mrs. Adewi. And this is Supreme News. And here's the news across Nigeria. Self-remote learning. We are one of the leading online schools where seamless virtual learning experience takes place for our students. And we get you started with education that matches your unique needs. And our philosophy is to provide learning without barriers at its peak. Our Year 9 students have resumed for NECO, while the basic education certificate examinations will start on the 21st of August. Join the winning train, enroll your children today. Okay. Sorry, just a minute. NUPENG reaches agreement with Lagos State government suspends tanker drivers' strike. Fuel tanker drivers under the auspices of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Gas Workers have suspended their strike in Lagos State. And the union took the decision on Monday following a meeting between its leadership and representatives of the state government. And some of the challenges faced by tanker drivers are security agencies, area boys, ad hoc levies, bad roads, overloading, the timing of movement, and coordination forms the critical issues discussed at the meeting. And Lagos State government will immediately set up a standing committee to relate to the union on an ongoing basis to address any issues as they arise. And Lagos State government extends operation hours of markets. The Lagos State government has extended hours of operation of both markets and non-food markets across the state. The Chief Press Secretary to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Mr. Gboyega Akosile, said the decision was to further enhance trade and commerce and mitigate the hardship of COVID-19 pandemic. And according to the governor's spokesman, markets have been permitted to open by 8 a.m. and close by 6 p.m. Food markets in Lagos are to open on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, while non-food markets will open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He urged all traders to adhere strictly to the COVID-19 protocols for their safety and that of the residents at large. Government projects 12.65 trillion budget for 2021. The federal government hopes to have a budget expenditure framework projected at 12.65 trillion for the 2021 fiscal year. The ministry explains that the projections were in accordance with the government's 2021 to 2023 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. It added that the key parameters for the 2021-2023 fiscal framework were set in line with the global and domestic economic outlook. Buhari approves 13 billion for takeoff of community policing. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 13 billion naira for the takeoff of community policing in the country as part of efforts to rejig the security architecture in the country and deliver a more effective policing. And this was disclosed at the National Executive Council chaired by Vice President Yemi Oshibajo and had state governments in attendance. The VP asked governors, secretary to the government of the Federation, the Minister of Finance, and the Inspector General of Police to work out how the funds will be utilized to ensure an effective implementation of community policing in Nigeria and then report back to NEC. And this is the world news. A Pope warns against vaccine priority for the rich. Pope Francis is warning against any prospect that the rich will get priority for a coronavirus vaccine. Pope Francis said the pandemic is a crisis and you don't come out of it the same. He added that we must come out better. In remarks on Wednesday during his weekly public audience, he said that after the COVID-19 pandemic, the world won't return to normality if normal means social injustice and degradation of the natural environment. He said how sad it will be if the COVID-19 vaccine priority was given to the rich. And I'll leave you with the quote for the day. You can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass. I am Oluwakemi Adesina, and over to you, Mrs. Adeoye.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Indeed, the storm will pass. And I like what you started with, to be on the winning team. That Supreme is definitely learning without boundaries. And for those that really missed that last week, I think if you're not sure if you're on the winning team, you should go back and watch last week's episode on your choice on choosing, and then you will know how to choose your school. And then you know that you really want to be on the winning team. And Supreme is the winning team. Thank you very much, Oluwakemi, for that. Thank you very much. Okay, and so I would like to introduce our guest speaker for this week. And like I always say, we have the best. She is Dr. Tomilola Oyekunle, and she is a qualified medical doctor, a registered psychologist with certifications in child psychology, counseling, and psychotherapy. So she schooled right here in Nigeria. She bagged her first degree in medicine from Nigeria and then scooted over there to Coventry University, where in United Kingdom, where she also bagged a postgraduate degree from the Department of Psychological, Social, and Behavioral Sciences. She also gathered a lot of experience as well from the NHS. She's a strong advocate for suicide prevention, which we actually thought we were safe from here in Nigeria. So, suicide, that's not in Nigeria. That happens in every other place. But in Nigeria, we're Africans, we don't do that. So, but she is a strong advocate and it's come close to home, and then we are all frazzled. We don't know how to deal with this. And Dr. Oyekunle is one of the directors at Mind Plus Practitioners, a private employee assistance program delivery consortium led by mental health experts in Nigeria, Africa. She encourages an holistic approach to emotional well-being, that's very key, at corporate organizations with the aim of promoting a stable work-life balance, which is very key for us, even especially now when I think I'm guilty. We don't even understand the boundaries of closing time because we're working from home. And she's also helps, and I hope parents are really taking notes of this. For those parents that their children are schooling out of the country, you have Dr. Tomi here online now. You need to start taking down details. She's a MedPsych consultant, and she offers sound academic well-being and specialist mentorship scheme that ultimately makes students experience fulfilling and enjoyable stay while studying in the UK. So most of them get in and it's like, this is different. This is not how I used to learn. This is not what it's like back in Nigeria, and they are all over the place. So she is there. You need to make sure that you are in contact with her. Dr. Oyekunle has deep interest in the wellness of youths and young people. She's the founder of an Instagram page called Mind Mode by Youth Doc. Please note that down. You really want to follow that. Mind Mode by Youth Doc, a page set up to educate and support young minds across the globe. This page allows young people to share their concerns and fears, which automatically enables her to signpost them accordingly. So I hope you've actually noted that down so that you can send that message and everything even after the program. It is a pleasure to have you here with us this evening, Dr. Yekule. Thank you so much for making our time for us.
Thank you very much for having me in here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we will dive right into it. Why don't we see beyond the surface anytime we get to hear the words, how are you? It's just a normal greeting, how are you? So why don't we think it's deeper than that?
All right, thank you so much for having me again tonight. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for reading my profile. I'm just sitting down here and I'm wondering, is that me?
It's you.
I can't believe it myself. Sometimes when people read it, I'm like, okay, I'm still quite young as much as possible. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, that question, how are you? When I think about it, I'm personally now, I'm just going to be relating to myself till when the book was launched. The way I've always looked at that question is this. Why don't we all look beyond that question when people ask us? Number one, we're impatient. Okay, that's number one. I'm just going to put it out there. We're impatient. We're in a hurry. Okay, we have our wrong motives. Sometimes we have our wrong motives. When we are asking, but we really don't really want to ask. So you're just asking. So it could be a wrong motive. It could be our upbringing, the way we're brought up. We're not brought up to actually listen. Sometimes we just want to talk and walk past. So it could be our impatience. We're in a hurry. Our upbringing, and most of the time it could be our culture as well, the way we're brought up. Some culture here in UK, sometimes when you ask people questions, they want to sit down with you and have a cuppa with you. You're asking them, how are you? Or do you really want to know how I'm doing? Then I can actually sit down with you and have a conversation about that question. But most of us are not in a hurry and we don't really care. That's why we just ask that question superficially. But after I launched the book, I always tell people, when I ask you that question, you need to link it up to the mind power. Now, when I say mind power, you need to view that question not with the eyes, but with the mind. If you view that question with the mind, then you're able to actually respond back to that question in the right appropriate word. When I say mind power, what I'm talking about is, as I said, not looking at it with the eyes, but looking at it with the mind. Because what we believe in, we see it. What we feel is what we attract. What we focus on, we expand. So if we look at it from that aspect that somebody's asking me this question, I don't want to just look at it superficially with the eyes. I want to think about it with the mind. The mind is such a very unique part of us. And unfortunately, because we can't see it, a lot of people just ignore it. They're like, oh, I can't see it. I don't think it's there. But it's one of those strongest. I would actually call it the strongest. It's the strongest and the most powerful thing that we humans, we possess. We don't appreciate it. But if we start looking at the mind power, because it influences our decisions, our behavior, our attitude. If we start looking at all those kind of things, when somebody asks that question, how are you? You're more patient because you link it up with the mind power, because you know any response you're given can influence decision, it can influence behavior, it can influence attitude of that individual. So I think I've answered that question a little bit.
Yeah.
So we don't look beyond it because of those. We are impatient, we are in a hurry, our culture, we look at it as pleasantries. We're not looking at it with the mind, we're looking at it with the eyes. So when you start looking at the mind power, that helps you to answer that question as much as possible.
Thank you. I think you're very right. It's also extremely cultural, because I think we're just exchanging pleasantries, and then we truly sincerely, and we're not looking for a response. No. In fact, I'm sure if someone pauses right here in Nigeria to say, oh, well, I had a very bad day, really, I wasn't expecting the answer. Just fine will do, whether you're not really fine. And I think that is really bad. So when we say, how are you, and we are applying truly the mind power to it, how do we begin to actually change that culture here in Nigeria? And to be more mindful of that? How can we begin to do that? Because I think it's also a way of being our brother's keepers. Because I think a lot of things are slipping by. I mean, we would find something happen to someone we just saw a day before or right in the morning, and we're shocked. And we actually asked the question, how are you? But we did not take complete sense of all that is going on around that person. How do we begin to change that mindset?
All right. Okay. Thank you again, Mrs. Adewi, for that question. I think the best way, or one of the ways we can start looking at this, is to actually let people understand what the question means. For example, how are you? It's not a mere question. We need to start getting that right. How are you? You might see that I'm just asking a question, but it's not a mere question. We need to start giving it a proper meaning. So we should not be giving it a mere response to the question. So it start with us having a conversation with the young people. When I'm asking how are you, I'm sure we're going to have time to talk about more questions we can ask before when we ask that question. So for example, it's not a mere question. It's a question that requires more than just an open-minded or I'll say close-minded response to it. It has to be more open-minded. For that question to be answered, there has to be a firm and a conscious response to it. So it's a firm, there's a conscious response to it when that question is asked. And it should not be seen as a mere greeting, as we said earlier on before. So to answer that question, I'm just going through the question, what does it really mean when we say, how are you? So when we're asking question about how are you, we are asking about their wellness. We're asking about their well-being.
Very true.
Those two things that we need to start, because anytime you're asking somebody, there are different things you're expecting the person to respond back to. And based on the response, you're not able to say, okay, you're okay in this aspect. You need support in this aspect. I can help you out in this aspect. And if I cannot help you out here, I can make a referral. So that is how we should be taking it. So it is not a mere question. It requires a firm and a conscious response to it. We need to be looking at the well-being of that individual, the wellness of that individual when we are responding back to that question. So that's how I'm going to look at it. That's what it means. So the wellness, the full wellness, the total wellness, all the dimension of wellness and the well-being of that individual when that's what the question entails. So it's not just saying, how are you? Fine. It's more of you actually sitting down and telling me exactly how you feel. However, you might not feel comfortable responding back to that person to tell that person, this is how I'm feeling. That's okay. Sometimes we don't feel comfortable opening up to somebody else. But as much as possible, when you get another opportunity, when somebody asks you that question, make sure you actually open up, discussing all the dimension of your wellness and also your well-being. And when I'm talking about well-being, I'm talking about your feeling, how you're feeling. It's not your absence of disease. No, that's not what I'm talking about. How you're feeling as an individual. How is your state of being? How are you happy? Are you comfortable? Are you satisfied? Are you healthy? Those are the kind of questions that should start coming from that response. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Yes, I think you have. And it's also, I would say, like a double-edged sword as well. Yeah. So the way we respond to that question, and then when we ask the question, the response we should be expecting back. So we should not also throw out that question in the manner that we're not actually expecting a response back. Exactly. We should be expecting the response back. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That is quite enlightening. So why and how do we pay attention to our wellness?
That's a big question. Right. Okay. Why and how should we pay attention to our wellness? So I have to divide that into different aspects now. So there's a why there and there's a how. Yeah. So when we're talking about the why means I'm not an English expert, but why means there's a question there. Why should you do this? Why should I jump? Why should I do this? Why is my wellness important? Why is my well-being important? Because a lot of people have asked me that question. What you tell me about my wellness? Why should I? What if I really don't want to? What if I want? And everybody has their own free life. It depends on what they want to do. So I'm going to look at it this way. And if I'm talking about the why here, the why I'm talking about, your wellness has a link with your productivity. So that's number one. I will tell people. So your well-being has a link with your productivity. It has a link with your connection with people. If you're not in your right frame of mind, there's no way you can actually have a conversation with people in the right frame of mind, because you're not happy, you're not in your right frame of mind, you're not satisfied, you're not healthy. So it's going to have a lot of impact on your productivity. It's going to have a bit of impact on your connection with people. Also, it can cause all this frustration in the workplace. Sometimes you're not in the right frame of mind, it causes a lot of frustration, even with your colleagues as well. You're trying to interact with your colleagues at work. Also, it's your well-being, or your wellness helps to promote this fulfillment. You know, when you're well, everything is okay. It gives that fulfillment in all aspects of whatever you're doing. Also, it helps you to also let me use this word, achieve things selflessly or effortlessly, because you're in the right frame of mind. You're able to concentrate. At the end of the day, you're more happy. So if I'm talking about the why is more of your fulfillment, your connection with people. It helps also to give you your best dimension of yourself. You know, your best dimension of yourself. You see yourself. You're much happy. You're more fulfilled as an individual. So I'll look at it that way. But when I'm talking about what's the other one now? The how. The how now, we're looking about the how. How can you pay attention to your wellness? You can pay attention in different aspects. Number one, your finances. Okay, number one, I'll say that your finances. Manage your finances as an individual. You know, I can't go into financial prosperity and those kind of thing now. As much as possible, live within your limits, you know, because if you go beyond the limits, sometimes it can affect you, the way you think, the way you react, the way you interact, behave with people around you. Your emotions, pay attention to emotions. Those are the how. Your relationship, you know, take a lot of, put a lot of effort into your relationship, the kind of relationship you have, the people you surround yourself with. All those things can help with your wellness as well, your faith as well, what you believe in, your church, what you serve, the God you serve. So all those things are the how can you pay attention to your wellness. Your church. Some people go to church on Sunday or go to mosque because they want to meet up with people. The people they meet them make them happy. So that's the kind of way you can pay attention to your wellness. Your mental health, I cannot overemphasize that. That's another major area. So your finances, your emotion, your relationship, your faith, your physical body. You need to pay attention to your physical body. It tells a lot. It gives you signals, and a lot of us ignore those signals. And the last one is your mental health. So I think those are areas in which how we can pay attention to our wellness.
While you were speaking, I'm thinking, and I don't know if the audience would agree with me, that some of them would then be thinking, so what is wellness? Why? It's like it's covering so many things. A lot of people would not have thought of linking their finances to their wellness, linking their faith. They'll be thinking, oh, these are separate issues, their emotions, or something, even the issue, because it's been coming up recently a lot, and a lot are just associated wellness with just emotional well-being. So what does it mean to be well? When we look at it as a whole, what does it mean to be well?
Okay, I think the best way to answer this question is actually to define three things. And those are key things that in terms of mental health, those are things a lot of professionals should talk about. When you're talking about your health, your wellness, and your well-being, there are three different things. They're both interlinked one way or the other. So when you're talking about your health is your state of being. Okay, your state of being is your health. When I'm talking about your wellness, I look at it as a state of living a healthy lifestyle. Okay, when you talk about your wellness, living a healthy lifestyle, we talked about all the dimension of wellness. For example, your dimension of wellness, I can talk about your career, your intellectual, your social, your emotional, your career, your emotional well-being. When I talk about dimension of wellness, I think about 7 of them. So those are areas for wellness. So wellness, I look at wellness as an evolving process. It's not something that I can say that I'm in full wellness. It's evolving. You might be satisfied in one area of your wellness, but there are other aspects I need to pay attention to. So it's something that is evolving, and we are working towards achieving it as an individual. So that's wellness. So wellness has to do with a state of living a healthy lifestyle. But when you're talking about your well-being, I look at it as a state of being healthy, happy, comfortable. Okay, you're healthy, you're happy, you're comfortable, and you can achieve that in different ways: connecting with people, being active, learning new skills, giving to people, pay attention to your present moments, which comes to mindfulness, all those things. So your health, your wellness, your well-being, they are all linked up together, but I think it's something that a lot of people need to pay attention to. Yeah.
And it might, and for what you're saying as well, it might also differ from person to person, depending on your personality and what makes you happy. So for some people, it might be just being by themselves, having their me time, their personal time. Yes, why for some people it's about going out and being in a loud place with a lot of music and with friends all around. So it might differ. Okay, so so how often then should we factor in relaxation or leisure into our routines?
Oh, that's a big question. How often? That's a big question. Now,
because you know, for us in Nigeria, we really do not have that culture. We work, and even when we are on leave, it is still, this is an opportunity for me to catch up on some courses, to do some things. And then when we go on holidays, oh dear, we do not rest. It's a time to shop. We go from one mall to the other and catch on all the sales and all the. So we really, so how is it something that is necessary, or just that one day a week should suffice?
Right. Okay. So the question is, how often should we factor relaxation and leisure into our routine? As much as possible. I wouldn't say until you go on holiday, that until you do that. We're all different. I like my Friday evening. Friday evenings is my me time for anything I'm doing. People that know me, they know me for that. Friday evening is always time for me to say, whatever I'm doing, you know what, I'm just leaving everything. I'm just gonna have my me time. My me time might just be dancing. My me time I just go out with friends. My me time I would just want to sleep. So everybody needs to find that time, but we don't have to wait till the special moments. Special moments means that until when we have everything. So we need to have that time, or ways in which it can help to reduce the stress. Because you can't tell me that for the whole 1 year you've not been stressed. You're now waiting for December to go on holiday, or you are waiting for December to go to a very nice place or go and see families. And that's when you're looking for time to relax. So I will say that as much as possible, do that often. And there are different ways to do it. You can have this, they call them, let me just think about one, this stress management techniques. You find ways to relax yourself, find ways to make yourself happy, find ways to, sometimes it could just be having good sense of humor, having friends that can make you laugh. Friends that have good, I love that. Friends that just don't take things very serious, they have that good sense of humor, and they can laugh about things, joke about things. All those things, we look at it as something that just minor, but sometimes having good friends that you can laugh, socialize with family, interact with friends, get time for your hobby, you know, time you can play games, things you like. So I see that as leisure. So find what you love to do. And if, for example, you want to go for yoga, you for dancing, find what you love to do and just create that time. You don't have to wait for everything. It's just there. So I would just say, how often? Every time, as much as possible. It could be once a day. It could be 1 hour a day. It could be once a week. But as much as possible, find time to distress. You know, there's a lot going on at the moment. Everybody just find time. Just find time to
Thank you very much for that. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Thanks to all our audiences for the comments coming in. Okozi Loretta, you're very faithful. Every week you're always online and sending lovely comments. Thank you, Mary EJ, for that, for the comment coming in as well. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I will now tilt towards our students now. How can we, or what can we do to address emotional wellness in students?
Right, that's a massive topic to actually talk in about 3 minutes, but I'll try as much as possible because I work with a lot of young people, and I think it's one area that I would say that it's being ignored or we just sweep under the carpet. If you're not in your right state of mind, honestly, there's not so much you can achieve. You might try, but one way or the other, it will impact on one thing or the other. So how can we? There are different ways in which you can help our young people. Our young people needs that help. So I will say that the school is one of the places that needs, there has to be a proper structure. I spoke on a platform this morning and I said that for young people, the school should be a safe place for them. Unfortunately, if the school is not a safe place for them, then we need to do more. We need to do more. And this is the time before they come back to start re-strategizing. We need to put some things in place for them because a lot have changed in terms of their mental health, in terms of how they are feeling, how they are behaving. You see a lot of young people that will come back now, their behavior is going to be totally different. A lot of young people have not had time to actually spend on the computer for this long period of time. Even summer holiday, they've never had this time. A lot of parents have left them to have access to the computer. So a lot of things will change in terms of their behavior and things I've actually seen. So the way I'm going to look at this question is that we need to do more. Schools have to do more. So schools is an ideal setting, as I said before, and school has to set that social and emotional well-being for young people. For example, one of the things we can have is to have, when school starts, if the school doesn't have this, is to have this positive behavioral intervention in place. When I say positive behavioral intervention, it's because the young people are going to come back, and we're not going to go back to the same way in terms of behavior management. I don't know how it's been done in Nigeria. So we need to have a positive behavioral intervention in place where we can use to promote effective classroom management, because we don't expect a child to come back after 5 months and it's still the same way, and it's still the same way you deal with behavior in school. It's still the same way, because a lot have changed. So when I say positive behavioral management, something has to be in place when they behave well. Even when there's something going on, there's a way to manage it. That's another long story. Exploring resilience. Resilience is one thing that we need to aim at this time. There should be a lot of training in school also for counselors, for psychologists. I was saying that this morning on a platform as well. At the moment, we should have professionals working with these young people. They are registered. They have up-to-date training. They have up-to-date CPD. And they're up to date with their skills. So they're able to help these young people in terms of their mental state and whatever they're going through. So for example, there should be training on mindfulness and training on how to pick up little bits when they notice that in school, implementing practices in the school environment that can help with challenging behaviors. So I feel that, I'm just going to go back to that question. How can school address emotional wellness in students? So those are ways also schools having policies. Policies needs to be looked at again now when school is going back. Practices that have been in place before, you need to revisit that and see that there might be one or two adjustments that needs to be done. And I said earlier on, the school is environment where to encourage young people to take risk as well. A lot of them have been at home. A lot of them are not taking risk. So taking risk also helps them in their emotional wellness. Taking risk, helping them to take challenging things. You know, sometimes a lot of young people, they run away from challenges. You know, they don't want to face things. So we encourage them as well. Take risk, help them to accept themselves for who they are. All those things help as well. Help them to ask them to seek for support if they need help as well in school. Encourage them to speak up, they need help. Encouraging them to also speak to their parents as well. So all those little things I feel that can help to, I'm not sure whether it's from my end, but it's echoing. Yeah, it's echoing.
No, I can't hear that.
Okay, can't hear now. Yeah. So I think those are ways we can help young people to address emotional wellness in school. It's just putting strategies in place now, especially that schools are going. And parents also have their roles to play as well. So schools and parents need to work together at this time to see how they can help young people. So having things and putting structure in place in school, I think.
Wow. Yeah, you really made very valuable points there. Going back to look at the policies in place before the lockdown, things definitely would have changed. They are no longer what they used to be before school closed down. So they're going to come back to school with a whole lot different than what they used to be. But before I go on with that, we have a question here from Michael Ayeni. What is the difference between how are you and how are you doing?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Mr. Ayeni. How are you doing? To me, if I look at that question, how are you doing? You're asking me about now. How am I doing now? How am I doing now? How are you is more open, my open question. But how are you doing? How are you doing? To me personally, if I'm going to look at that question, how are you doing just means how am I doing now? How are you doing? But I think there's an interlink between the two questions, I must say as well. But when I say how are you is more of your wellness, your well-being, all the dimensions of wellness. How are you doing? How am I doing now? How am I doing? Unless that question is more rephrased. But how are you doing is how are you doing? I'm fine. And if you're a Yoruba person, you can just say Muwakba. So it depends on how people respond back to that question. Unless we want to start changing that. And some people also ask that question, how are you really doing? How are you really doing can help to take the question further than just saying, how are you doing? How are you really doing? How are you really? Okay, how are you? How are you really? It's like you'd really want to know more about you.
More
How
about
are you
it, yeah.
doing? I'm fine. I'm good.
Good.
Good. And you find your own dialect way of responding. It could be a shake, could be a hug, and just responding back to. So I'm not sure if I respond back to your question, Mr. Ayeni.
So it seems like how are you seems deeper
Yeah.
and more open-ended, while how you doing seems it's kind of close-ended. So it's usually I'm fine, I'm good,
Yeah.
and not so well, been a very busy day. And then but with how you kind of like there's more to say in here. I
Yeah.
think we need to sit down now. So the next time someone asks me, how are you, Buki? I'm going to tell you need to sit down now because I need to start unpacking. I need to unpack a lot of things for you.
That's the way to go.
So you better be careful. Don't say how you doing. I can tell you I'm fine, I'm good. But you say how you doing? How are you? You're going to sit down and we're going to unpack it. So very good. Thank you for that. So really, so with the school, going back to what we were discussing, I think there's so much. What do you think as a school we should expect from the children, considering what you've dealt with a lot of youths on your Instagram pages, frequent questions? What are the things we need to watch out for so that we're not really surprised as a school by the time they resume?
Okay, that's a very good question. And what we've been doing here, even before this started, is even before going back to school, a lot of young people here, there's been a lot of meetings, conversations with them, even while they are home. So I know that some children might not be able to explore or tell you more things because they're in their parents' house. And based on how Nigerians parents are, most of them you must not tell the school what's going on. You must not tell. But here, most of them, none of young people will actually tell what's going on with them, and they can tell the school. So I've had I can't disclose a lot of things online now, but one thing I've noticed is that if we've been following up with these children, you'll be able to know their pattern. For example, every school should have I don't know what they call it in Nigeria, but they should have something drafted for every child where you're seeing the progress of that child, not just in their academics, but also in their emotional well-being. You notice that child when the child comes into school at the beginning of the term, you observe that child, the behavior of that child, how the child behaves, how the child speaks, how the child acts, the academics of the child. So all those things has been in place. So when a child is coming back after this lockdown, if there's a difference, you'll pick you up quickly. So that's a school that has had something in place and you know that child, especially if the same teacher or the same staff that's been working with that child for a long period, they'll be able to pick you up. So what we're going to be expecting now is that you're going to see a lot of children that a lot of them will lose. The attention span of them is going to be down. That's number one. Now I have 3 children and I know them before the lockdown started. So I'm talking from experience as well. A lot of them now, they are not focusing like before. They're so engrossed with other things. They are so into other things. So their attention span has actually decreased. So we need to have things in place. I don't know, in terms of attention span, checking that children, grading them, have like a, what's the word now? I'm looking for the right word. Where you can say, right, this is where the child is in terms of the attention span. This is where the child is. What can we do? Yeah, what can we do to help this child back in? So in terms of attention span, that will be low. Let's look at it. The relationship with children as well will go down because quite a lot of them have not been interacting with themselves. They have social media now they're interacting with. So a lot of young people, in terms of social interaction, might decrease. So a lot of children that have behavioral issues in terms of even interacting with people before, by the time they come back, they'll be a bit timid. A lot of young people will not want to come out of their closet now. A lot of young people that have social phobia. I work with a lot of young people in university here, and some of them have that issue of even coming out. And I tell our parents, you send your children here sometime, you don't know what that child is doing. A lot of them don't go to uni. A lot of them stay in. A lot of children have a lot of things going on, which I can't start talking about now. But a lot of young people would not want to come out. Some of them want to leave their house to come to school because their parents want them to come. But a lot of them wouldn't want to come out to the playground because they feel the body image is going to be a major issue as well. So what I even tell schools now is that we need to sit down and draft something in terms of body image, looking after yourself. A lot of questions will be around that. Then even young people, how they interact with themselves. Now you can't just say, oh, you look so fat now. Especially you gain weight, especially for secondary school girls. That's going to be a big issue. A lot of young girls will not want to come to school because of that. They will come 1 week and they don't want to come again until they lose that weight. These are things that we will face here. I'm talking about here. Nigerian school will just say you have to go. Here, you don't want to go, they can't force you. So we have to put something in place to support that young person back to school. A lot of, I don't know what that happens, like a lot of racism as well goes on. That's going to be a big issue for us here to manage as well, because there's this Black Lives Matter. So a lot of young people going in now is going to be a big issue for us here. So in terms of body image, in terms of attention span, in terms of relationship with teachers. So if a teacher leaves school, a new teacher coming in there is going to be a big issue for teachers as well, because they'll need to settle down and get used to those school environments and those children. Also, young people in terms of assimilation as well will decrease, because a lot of them have not been engaging with their schoolwork. Now, in UK here now, all the exam for this year, they cancelled it because they understand what's going on. There's no way exam can be done. And that is to me, exam is good, but emotionally, these children are not sound enough to go in, but it depends on the country and what works. Also, I think teachers should not focus a lot on academics when these children come back. It's okay, you want the children to get them back to that place, but we need to be careful not to push those children, because sometimes their resilient level might just go down. They might say, I lose up, I give up. A child that is in top sets, that is very good in chemistry and physics, and that child comes back and the child is not doing as much as, we need to be careful how to help that child and get them back to where they need. So there's going to be a lot of changes. The school environment, 5 months away, 4 months away is a big thing.
It's a big deal.
A lot of children that have special needs is going to be another massive one. That's another major one.
Oh, yes.
Special needs kids, I don't even know how that's going to work. That's a big work for us here as well. Special needs school, how to integrate them gradually, how to bring them in.
School, yes.
A lot of children that don't want to interact with people when they come in there. The noise level sometimes is too much when they don't want to come in there. So a lot of changes has to be, and those are the things we are doing here at the moment, structuring things in place, putting things in place for schools, putting things in there for young people as they go back, making sure that children that don't want to come in every day, we accept it like that, but the whole idea is to actually integrate it gradually, and there's still going to be home learning for some children. So you're learning from school, you're learning from home, and we are just gradually putting it in. So there's a lot of things that that's going to change. Honestly, we need to be ready to accept it.
You are very apt. There is so much to watch out for. Currently in Nigeria, what we've also been doing as a school is we've kept contact with our children.
Good.
They have a very good relationship with our pastoral team, so they are able to open up. And what we found out with most of them is they really have had it up to here, being at home with their moms and dad, because they do have that space away from each other. I mean, they go to school in the morning, come back in the evening. Some of them were in the boarding houses, so they only get to stay with mom maybe weekends or during half term, and then at most 6 weeks break. But to have been at home together morning, day, and night for the past 5 months, they call the pastoral leader, and it's like, we've had it up to here. My mom keeps saying this, by that. In fact, even the parents need to be aware as well, because even they are saying things like this to the children. You've gained a lot of weight. You've been at home for the fact that you're eating too much, and things like that, carelessly. And they have to be conscious of it, because those children are taking it on board. And it's, so they are getting ready for school. It's affecting their readiness, because thinking, even my mom knows I've gained so much weight, and then I'm going back to school, everyone is going to scream I'm fat. And for teenagers, it's a big deal, even in Nigeria now, because we're having children with anorexia and all of that, even in Nigeria, trying to throw up, not wanting to eat. So most of the things are because globalization, everything happening in the UK, in the States, has kind of come on, is creeped on us one way or the other, because they're watching TV, they're thinking, oh, this is not a bad idea. I'm going through this as well. I want to embody this, but
and another thing is also for teachers as well. A lot of teachers will change as well. Teachers will look different. They'll come back as well. So some of them will feel a little bit conscious about themselves. Some of them have lost their teaching skills. So we need to be ready as well to put things in place for them. Also, I know a lot, like UK now, one of the schools already said that they're not going to observe teachers for 1 term. There won't be any coming to the classroom to observe them. So we give them time also to integrate, to settle down, to see things, to get themselves into the system. So a lot of things we need to look into. So yeah.
Wow. And I like the fact that you've touched on all sides, because there's things to look at with the children, but then everyone is so concerned about the children, the students when they resume back to school. And then we forget the teachers as well. They've gone through so much, and some of them have also been teaching online classes. They've had to manage their families as well. They've had to manage pay cuts. They've had to go through so much during the season, and then they're also thrown back into class. And then when you taught online for about 5 months, it's totally different. When you're back in class with the children, it's a different thing. And so giving them that room as well to settle down. Thank you very much for that. The founder, Ms. Adenika Damalekun, sent in a message. Can you put that up back again? Yes. And she said, how are you doing? Is same as how are you? One is just more of American dialect. So really, so the American goes, how you doing? So, and then how are you? So she said that's really the main difference between both of them. Thank you very much for that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you both for that. Okay, so getting ready for school, wellness. We've touched so many things today. I would want to ask another question about educators. Most times perceive some measures of wellness or well-being as mere luxury. So what is your take on this? Is wellness, well-being, luxury? So this attitude of, look, this is all about, so I would say, Dr. Yekule, this is a UK thing. So I'm going Nigerian on you now. This is a UK wellness, well-being. We don't have the time for all of that here in Nigeria. Reality going on around us now. What is your take on this? Is it a luxury?
It's not a luxury. No, I would not say luxury. You don't look after yourself. I don't think that's the right thing. We need to look after ourselves. It's not a luxury. You deserve it. You deserve it. No, I wouldn't say it's a luxury. No, it's not. It's not a luxury. You deserve. It's a necessity. It's not a luxury. You need to look after yourself because you deserve it, and because you're alive. You want to stay alive. Look after yourself. Be active. Connect with people. Pay attention to your well-being. To me, it's you need to. So please, it's not a luxury. No, I think that's straightforward. Look after yourself. It's not a luxury. You deserve it. You don't have to travel out of the country. Find ways, the right way that you really enjoy yourself. Find ways, connect with people. You might go to the village as well. See when I come to Nigeria, I speak to my parents. I see them. To me, it's a luxury. Sitting down with them. It might be that pap and akara in the morning that I take to them. To me, it's look for something that you enjoy to do, and just it's not a luxury. I think that's quite straightforward. No, it's not. You deserve it. Yeah.
We had the happy teacher with us about 2 weeks ago, and we delved quite a bit into this. I mean, being happy is not a luxury, and you don't really have to be very rich. It's not about having a lot of money. It's really about being intentional and deliberate about this and finding your core person. And also, as a parent, as a teacher, as a friend, as a brother, as a sister, you owe it to those around you as well to be happy, to really find find that core, that person who you are and what really makes you happy. I think it's fine, yes. And I agree with you. It is definitely not a luxury. It is a necessity. Okay, so please tell us a bit about your book. How are you? And what
okay, the book. I've got it here. That's the book. So that's the book. That's the book. And that's me behind that. So that's the book. Yes. How are you? Okay. That's a journey, I must say. Okay, right. I'll just a bit about myself. Okay, I finished from Nigeria. I think that was mentioned before. One thing about me, I've wanted to do when I was in medical school in Nigeria. I finished from Lutz, by the way, is I wanted more out of life. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to go out there and impact young people. Young people has always been my passion. And I just felt that coming to the UK, I got here, going to the hospital, staying there 24/7. I wanted something that gives me passion, something I love to do. And I felt, okay, what else can I do? And I felt there was a gap in the system where they needed psychologists to come in there and manage that role in the educational space. I said, okay, that's quite good. So being a doctor is okay to work with young people, but I had to get more qualification. Like, what can I do? So I went to get into uni. I went through that part of psychology, got trained, and got registered, got certified. I'm like, okay, right, that's quite good. Now I can now vent into the educational space, which I love to do. So the How Are You book came up about by the passion and what I enjoy to do. And while I was working with young people, sometimes I go to university in the evening, I do assessment for young people that have mental health problems. And while I'm talking to them, and sometimes the GP might have sent me their information, and I book a session with them, and they go in there to speak to them. And the first thing I ask them is, how are you? And the next thing they tell me, they are fine. And I'm like, if I've received a long history of your past medical history of what's been going on with you, and I'm sitting right in front of you, and the first thing you tell me is you're fine. There's no way you're fine, because if I had your medication, you've got, doctors, I've seen the medication you're being on, you all these issues have been on ground, you've had counseling in the past, you've had psychotherapy in the past, you've had this going on with you, then that means there's something not clicking here. So I feel that there's something that is more than that question, because they tell you, how are you? But the first time I have the conversation with them, they'll tell you how they're fine, and they'll go. So I booked another session with them. It took a while for them to start opening up to me. And I felt that more of consistency, more of them understanding me and be able to open up to me as a professional, it was what I wanted. And so How Are You book came about my interaction with young people. Young people, there is nothing they can tell me. They tell me anything. I can meet a young person today, and before they know, they're disclosing information to me, things that even some parents don't know. But we go through the normal part where the information, of course, has to be secured, but at the same time,
that's very true.
Parents need to know at a point in time when things are going on. So How Are You book came across my interaction with young people and my journey in life. So it has to do my journey, me, who is Tomilola? How do we have a doctor in place, and she's a psychologist as well? Why do we have a doctor that's working in education? Why do we have a young person? Why do we have a doctor that a lot of young people want to interact with? Why do we have a doctor on social media where people want to have a conversation with, that they can actually DM me and ask questions? So this is me. And that question came about my interaction with young people and how they're able to open up and how we're able to support them. And also with young people coming to study here as well, how we're able to support them, right? This is what's going on. You need to do this. Because when it comes to study here, it's another ball game. A lot of people don't go to school. A lot of people drop out. A lot of things happen. A lot of people go into drugs. A lot of people lose themselves. Cultural shock is a big thing. Yeah. A lot of things happen. So they came up by interact, and it all started with just community work. And that's just How Are You book. So fantastic. I think I've said so much.
That is really interesting. Really finding yourself and your passion, and then directing all your energy towards that. That's really fantastic. Well done. It's been a fantastic evening. I looked at the time and I'm shocked. 55 minutes gone already, and we have to round up now. It's been fantastic. I would advise to our viewers, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to follow us on Facebook and share if you like, and also give us a like after watching our videos. And remember to share with friends, because this is a very enlightening session and a lot has been spoken about today. And I hope you've taken notes. And if you did not, please remember as well to go back and rewatch this program. Remember to connect with Dr. Tomilola's page. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, on YouTube channel. Make sure that you also connect with our website as well, which is www.tomilolaoyekunle.com. Make sure that you are doing this, because your well-being is definitely not a luxury. It is a necessity for parents that has their children, not even just in the UK, I would say. And Dr. Tomilola, I don't know if you agree with me, even in Canada, in the States that are going through this, I think it's advisable that they connect those kids with you as well, those youths, because they're not kids anymore, those youths with you, so that you can help them, bringing in even your experience from what is happening in the UK, and it can be applied even to Canada, to the States, just so that they're not alone in this journey. And you might think, well, my son has not called me, he's doing really well, my daughter is well. Sometimes they don't tell you those things. You don't know what is going on. So it's just okay to say, I found out this particular person. I think it will be nice for you. Just look at the Instagram page, connect with this person, and you just might need it. And it might just come in handy one day and they say, oh, well, come to think of it, my mom introduced me to this, or my dad told me to check out the speed. So please remember to do that. Dr. Tomilola, you're doing a fantastic job. You're definitely making a difference. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Thank you for making out time for Supreme this evening. We are happy to be a friend of yours. And since you like to dance on Friday, and Itaya has been on our case that you should dance for, so we need to see you move a little bit for us. It's a Friday evening.
Friday evening, yeah.
Friday evening, your me time. Yes, that's
me time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, absolutely a pleasure. Thank you very much. And that comes to the end of Supreme Leverage this week. I am always your host, Olubukola Adewi. I look forward to seeing you next week, Friday, same time at 5 o'clock. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful